guys, today I'm going to show you a tutorial for a vampire that got caught in the sunlight and started to burn. This is pretty easy in that you don't need any prosthetics or any molds of your face or anything. You just apply it all on the day as you go out of gelatin. First of all, I'm going to prep my face using witch hazel, which is an astringent, just to kind of get a good clean surface for the adhesive to stick to. Then using Prosade adhesive, I'm going to start gluing it around my eyelid, which I'm going to glue like a strip of muslin fabric to pull the eyelid down in this kind of melted droopy corner. So first of all, I put the Prosade down and I wait for it to dry completely until it's clear, and then I put a layer of Prosade also on the end of the muslin strip and wait until that's dried, and then I stick the two together and make sure there's a pretty good hold. And then I'm going to put adhesive down the back of the muslin strip and down the back of the face where it's going to attach, and wait for both of those to dry completely clear. Once it's dry and has got a good grip, I'm going to tug on it until it distorts in a way that I like and it's not too uncomfortable. And I'm going to press the fabric down into my skin and then go over it with another layer of Prosade adhesive to let dry, so it's just a really good grip and it doesn't come up over the night. I'm going to do the same thing for the corner of my lip. So again, just putting some Prosade over my lip and down my chin, and then also on this strip of muslin fabric. So this is actually a technique I learned from Stuart Bray. He's got a gelatin tutorial on his website. I'll link it in my description box because it's a really good, just little written PDF photo tutorial, which is really handy. So this is our lip and eye glued down. I'm just going to work out where I'm going to have the burn so I know where to put my foundation. So just kind of marking out where the edges will be and where the sunlight would have hit my face, just with a little lip pencil. I'm also going to glue down my eyebrow with Prosade so that when I put gelatin over it, the hairs of my eyebrow don't get stuck in the gelatin, because then that would make removal quite painful. So now I put a layer of moisturiser over my face, and then I'm going to make my skin a few shades paler than it usually is. And so basically, I mean, you can buy just a really pale foundation. I didn't want to buy a new one, so I mixed some of my concealers in with some of my white face paint, and then mixed it up with a mixing liquid to make my own kind of foundation, and then I applied this over my moisturiser. So I do apologise, my camera ran out of battery when I started putting down the gelatin, of course. The beginning of the interesting moment, it cuts out. And then upon putting in a new battery, the settings just like flipped out, so you can see it's a little bit overexposed, not a lot overexposed, but it will get better in a minute. So basically all I've done is started applying gelatin, which I've warmed up in the microwave. It's homemade gelatin, and you want to make sure that it doesn't boil when you heat it up, and that it's not too hot, because I have nearly burnt myself so many times in gelatin. So just test it on your wrist first, make sure it's not too hot. I'll link in Stuart Bray's gelatin recipe tutorial, which I used to make this, description box. Basically, as the gelatin sets up, you just want to play with it and just kind of just have these different directions and just kind of pull the strings around, and just, I know it's pretty easy to make melty textures and just play around and see what you can do with different layers and just kind of make it a bit random looking. I also go in with my fingers and just kind of break it up a little bit, just to get those little kind of popped blister, burnt through holes kind of going on in the face. You can see it's quite sticky when it starts setting up. It kind of has the consistency of like melted mozzarella or something. Cool, now I'm going to start contouring the other side of my face. So using the veiny Ultimate Effects palette, I'm going to use the shade Grey Purple. I'm just going to do like the kind of classic under the cheekbone contour line, and then a little bit up around my eyebrow as well. I'm just kind of blending it out with my fingers and brushes, and this big setting brush just to smooth it out a little bit. And it's going to look quite harsh at first, because I'm going to go back over it with veiny and then back over again with my foundation. So for now it's okay if it looks a bit harsh. Just do a little bit of contouring with my Anastasia Beverly Hills contour kit, and I'm using the shade Fawn. I'm going to go over with Benefit's High Beam Illuminator or highlighter. Just kind of blend that over my nose and onto my cheekbone. And so the beauty side of this, like obviously you can make up your own style for this. This is just what I use because it's what I had lying around and what I like the look of. For the eyeshadow, I wanted something quite reddish, and it's hard to find perhaps like something designed for the eyes that's red. So I used my veiny Ultimate Character Effects palette, and I started with Capillary Stipple, which is like a pinky red color, just over the eyelid and extending a little bit beyond the crease line and then underneath the eyelid as well. And then I just kind of blended that out, and I put it onto my burnt eye as well. And I'm going to get a mix of the fresh cut and the bruise colour, and that makes quite a nice blood red. I'm going to apply that in the crease and also underneath on the lower eyelid, and then again I'm going to blend that out and put a little bit on the lower eyelid of the burnt eye. Then I'm going to use the Balm's Nude Tude because it has a really nice kind of maroony dark red colour, which is called Sexy, or there's also Sleek. I'm using that to go into the crease and then in the outer corner of the lower lash line, and then I'm blending that out again. Then using the white from that palette, which is called Sassy, I'm going to put it in the inner corner as a highlight and then just over the lid, and then kind of blend that out. Then lastly, I'm going to take the black colour from that palette called Serious, and I'm going to apply it on the outer corner in the lash line and on the lower outer corner as well, and then blend that out. Next I'm going to put my mascara on, so I'm using Maybelline Fall Season, the waterproof version. And then using a little spoolie brush just to kind of brush through it so it doesn't get too clumpy and it looks quite defined still. Putting a little bit on the burnt eye as well. Next I'm going to define the one eyebrow. I'm using a little brow powder from the e.l.f. eyebrow kit. And I'm going to use my Anastasia Beverly Hill Brow Wiz in Ash Blonde. And just kind of define that outer arch so that one side can look quite polished and pretty, and then the other side can look quite burnt and disheveled. I'm going to brush that through to kind of get rid of any harsh lines. And lastly, I'm going to put some false lashes. So this is Lashes in a Box, lash number 7. Just again so that the burnt side can look quite different from the pretty and the made up side. Not the best at putting on false lashes, but eventually we get there. I'm using Duo Lash Adhesive in clear as well. Just kind of gently pressing it into my lash line with my tweezers until it dries. So next I'm going to put a bit of veins through. So I'm using my Skin Illustrator palette, and this is the Vein Tone, which is in the Zombie palette and in the Flesh Tones palette. And I'm going to have my little tiny liner brush. Little tiny brushes help. And just drawing out some veins. So what I find helps with this is to make sure you haven't got too much alcohol on your brush. If it's really saturated, then the alcohol just bleeds out and it's really hard to get precise lines. And then to try and keep the brush quite straight, so you're just using just the point. And another thing that helps is to think of it, to look at photos where other people have got really good veining shapes, but to think of it kind of like rivers or kind of like lightning bolts. In terms of the pattern that then break away and spike off. And again, we're going to go over this with the foundation colour so that we can kind of make it look like the veins are underneath the skin. So I try and keep it quite light, but if you get it, if you go a bit heavy, you can just cover it all up with your foundation, or you can go over it again with like some alcohol to soften it. So using just a little foam makeup beauty blender thing, I'm going to go over it all again with my light foundation tone that I mixed up on my base, and just kind of hide them all a little bit and blend it out. Okay, going back over to the burn side, I'm going to start colouring it using my Skin Illustrator FX palette and Flesh Tones palette. So first of all, I'm going to use a Rose Adjuster from the Flesh Tones palette just to get some pinky tones through there. And then get my red from the FX palette. I'm going to start filling in all of the deepest burnt through spots with this kind of fleshy, burnt, bloody red colour. So we're going to start off with the brighter red first. And it's going to kind of randomly place bits of red over the rest of the burn now, just to mix up the colour a little bit. Kind of go around the outside. where it meets the skin. And again, just placing it in random shapes. I could have kind of followed the faked burns that I did on the face, but at this stage I was kind of placing it randomly. And I'm going in with the blood tone from the FX palette and putting that inside and outside the deepest parts, all over really. And I've got some of the black colour on a watercolour brush. I'm just going to start stippling this kind of black burnt colour, and I'm going to really just build it up and layer it. So first of all, I'm just going to place it randomly across the burn to make it look crispy and charred in places. Just build up some more of the darker blacks with a second layer. Once I've got that down, I'm going to try and smooth it out and get rid of some of those brush strokes with a cotton tip soaked with the 99% isopropyl alcohol, and just really kind of smudge it out, smoke it out, and get rid of those harsh brush lines. I'm going to just continue to kind of build it up and smoke it out. So I'm going to put another layer down. Again, smoking it out with the cotton tip. And then going in with a bit heavier black colours now. A bit darker black. And again, smudging it out. More sporadic placement of the blacks. Then going back into the rest of it with some reds, and I've got that watercolor brush. I'm just kind of putting a layer of a really transparent layer of that kind of bloody red color over everything, just to kind of soften out those lines of the black and just get a unifying color over everything. Now going in and building up the blacks again. Quite dark this time. Just using my finger to smooth out a little bit. I've got some alcohol on the watercolor brush. I'm just using that brush with the alcohol just to really kind of blend out some of the black buildup. And use my finger as well to blend it out. And going back over it with some more reds. Then I'm going to go with a cotton tip with some 99% alcohol just to get rid of some of those reds and bring through that kind of more fleshy, like skin coloured gelatin. It's mostly on the parts that are the highest and the raised melty bits. Going to try and make this look more raised by lightening the colour on them. Getting some more, making it less uniform. Going in with some of the blacks again. Now going back into the deepest pockets with the bloody red colour just to really pop those out again as being a different kind of texture. The meaty coloured holes. Now I'm going to put a little bit of veining with the bruise tone on it, coming from the burn, so it's like a different kind of vein. Like if you're a vampire, yes, and you're starting to burn, just imagine these veins this purple sort of veins popping out from all around it as your skin reacts to the sunlight. Using the same tiny liner brush and the same kind of techniques. I'm trying to keep it quite close into where the burn is, just extend it a couple of centimeters beyond. Just add a bit more red next to the eye, in case there was something I wanted to fix. And then back in with the bruise tone and drawing those little capillaries. I'm going to extend it a bit further down the neck. And again, I'm going to go over it with the lighter foundation colour on a beauty blender. I'm just going to fix that one vein. And then go over it all just to make it look more, like it's underneath the skin. I'm going to put in some fake teeth that I made. And I'm deciding if I want a purple based or a red based lipstick. I think I end up going for both. So I'm going to use a lip liner to do the Cupid's bow, and then I'm going to use black, this is actually our eyeliner, in the corners of my mouth to make it really quite dramatic and dark and have that gradient across. I'm going to apply Revlon Raisin Rage with a little lip brush. Any kind of dark vampy style lip colour will do, depending on your preferences and what colours suit your skin tones. And for the back corner, I'm going to put like more of a dark purpley colour. I've got a colour called Grunge by Australis, which is an Australian makeup company. And then on the gelatin part on the lip, I'm going to put some more of that bloody red colour from the FX Skin Illustrator palette. I'm going to finish up by putting a Revlon gloss over called Embellished, which is a purpley, glittery kind of gloss. I like the look of the glossy finish more than the semi-matte or matte finishes. And then I'm going to take out my hair. Now I've taken out my hair and put on a cape that I got from Costume Supercentre, and I've put my white blind eye contact lens into my burnt eye as well, and this is not, obviously needed, it's just a little extra feature to make the inside of the burns, like the really red melted through pockets, look really quite gooey and disgusting. I'm going to put some KY jelly in there to make it really shine. And this is the finished look. So the gelatin is quite flexible and movable, which is good. Cool. Thanks for watching, and if you want to follow me on my Instagram or my Facebook page or my Tumblr, they're all linked in the description box below. Alright, bye guys!